Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of my Dual Empire alternate Civilization. And I just filmed the last one, so we're going straight into this one. And there was a bug at the end of the last episode, so we do actually get an extra 4 turns, and this should hopefully work. We're in the Asia division, however, Tunisia is adopting a religion, and I'm actually going to make them Sinaiism. Yep, Tunisia is actually part of the Sinai religion to add some dynamics. We see Rome small expand, although this might not work. Oh, it does actually work. There are some bugs in this game, so that might happen. We actually see them take some pretty good offensive on the Alpine front as they, continue their rivalry with France. Next, we see the Baja State large expand as we see them basically bulk up their territory, becoming a pretty powerful empire over here on the west coast. Next, we see the Red Empire actually small split, as we actually see the birth of the Lime Country. I know, if these countries over here in the Americas don't make sense, it's because they're from a different series I'm doing, and I thought it'd be fun to involve them as kind of like the natives of this country. However, these natives are pretty goddamn advanced compared to how the normal natives were. And actually, we're going to go ahead and go to Ireland where we see a rebellion. As I think I'm going to bring back Scotland, as Scotland is actually the only... Oh, never mind. Never mind. Apparently we're not getting a split, as Ireland has been saved by the game breaking. Oh, don't tell me we got this bug again. I just had this bug. Okay. We've got the weird bug where the drawing card doesn't work, so, it turns out I'm going to have to reload the save, and I'll be back once I reloaded it. Going over to Russia, we actually see Russia split, but I don't think they'd split, to be honest. They haven't actually done anything other than being created, so we're actually not going to be splitting. And I will go ahead and take a split from here, as we're actually going to go ahead and see a Mexico form in this world. As you see over here, this area breaks away, forming a Mexican country up over here. We're just going to see the Kalmar Union gets a brand new leader, but nobody cares about that. And we see Mexico split again, but we don't, as, again, the Asia division is kind of annoying. But I will take Florida splitting, as it probably makes sense for this area to split, although I don't know what would you even call this area? I'll just call it Panama, but this is not, this is natives rebelling from natives, so... Don't really know, but, whatever. It'll probably get colonized by a European anyway, because that's normally what happens. Then going over to the Lime Country, we see them get a new leader, which nobody cares about. And we're almost out of the Asia division. And we're with the same bug again. Why is this happening so much? Hello? Hello? Okay, well. Don't mind me, because I'm going to reload the save for... this third time in 10 turns, and honestly might stop the series here if this bug keeps playing, because it's really annoying me. But without further ado, let's go ahead and reload into save v3 and try and continue with this game. And there we go, we're back in this thing, and this should work. We see Panama medium expand as we see them conquer the rest of this territory down here as they actually defeat all of the remaining Central American tribes here, and even push up against their previous overseers. Next, we see the Greeks have a small split as... I wonder what would rebel from them. I mean, there's a lot of countries in this nation. But the problem is, you might be like, Turkey would be the obvious choice, but I don't... these areas up here are all solid Greek lands that were conquered by the Greeks. I'll probably rebel here. What would I even call this? Libya? We go ahead and see the formation of Libya, which is not meant to be black. Why is it black? That's annoying me. And there we go. We have the formation of Libya right here, which... I guess I'll do a purple or a dark blue for Libya. Next, we see Eastern Greenland small expand. As, whatever, I guess. We have Eastern Greenland, that's Southern Greenland. Next, we see Crimea small expand, as they actually fight back against every country surrounding them that's trying to kill them. As they actually go ahead and defeat Romania in a decisive battle, as they actually take over quite a good portion of Romania, as Romania's power is dwindling. Next, we see that Kyiv is founding a religion, although it's not switching to the religion map, which makes me feel like it broke again. But I guess I'll just call it Kyivism. Like, I don't really know. We see the religion of Kyivism. Although, do we? We actually do see the Kyivism did work. Next, we see Baja large expand, as we continue to see them carve out an incredibly large empire, as they pushed all the way down into Mexico. And what even are they? They're mountaineers, so I probably should push them up over here. Well, actually, I mean, most of their land is mountain, so this is pretty good for them. Next, we see Mexico's small expand as we then push back against the Brown Country to some extent, but they actually go ahead and meet up with the Baja Empire, as they have skirmishes. Next, we see the French army beat back the Roman Empire as they actually push them completely out of the Alps, and they even take over Corsica, almost fully. Next, we see Tunisia unite with the country. Oh, actually, we do see Tunisia go ahead and unite with Libya, as Libya is too weak and fragile, so they go under the protection of Tunisia. Next, we see the Central American tribes expand, as we see... I mean, I should rename this, like, Central American country, as we see this country push back against Mexico, and we actually see them just completely kick Panama out of Panama, as they might actually take over the whole country, although they probably won't, knowing my luck. I don't think they will. But basically, imagine this country's not on the map. There we go. And now we actually have the Central American Empire, as a new government has been installed, and they're trying to conquer the world. Next, we see Yemen, small expand, as we see them basically focus on the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula over here, as you know, they make this land, but for some reason they can't take this pixel. Oh, there we go. And you know, they just expand their land. Next, we see Newfoundland unionize, as there's not really anyone to unite with that would make any sense. Next, we see Greenland. Oh, we're in the Asia division again. Oh, fuck off. This is pissing me off. Okay, next we see Poland split. But, like, yeah, I guess I can go ahead and make Prussia or whatever, but, like, seriously? We go ahead and see the formation of Prussia, as they took over a pretty good portion of the Polish coastline, leaving them only this bit of land here, as, you know, Prussia has completely damaged the Polish state. Next, we see the Kalmar Empire going into Kalmar Empire, but actually, this is a trick to add a new nation to the world map. And where is this new nation going to be? Are we going to get somewhere in Asia? Okay, we're going southeast. So, you know what I'm gonna make? I'm gonna make a Sri Lankan empire. Actually, unfortunately, I'm not really. I would love to learn about more Asian history, mainly in India, because I don't really know many Indian / the Indian subcontinent, so like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, like any of those historical empires. But what I do know is that this Sri Lankan empire is a pretty dominant power in the region, as they actually have a pretty nice Indian Ocean, or Sri Lankan Ocean in this case, because India doesn't exist, Sri Lanka does, thing. And we go ahead and see Poland take all of Eastern Prussia away from Prussia and push them back while expanding over here in the east. You know, expanding, basically getting rid of most of the white pixels. As we also see them, I could have wiped Prussia off the map. No, we see them completely wipe Prussia off the map as we're getting ourselves a nice long Poland. Next, we see Mexico medium expand as we see them push up north as well as down here. You know, as they basically go up to this river and push up against the Baja Empire. Next, we see Baja split as we go ahead and see the creation of California. As California comes to life up here, and you know, this is California. Next, we see the Lime Country small expand as they take over, you know, the coastline up here. Then we go ahead and see Prussia exist as Prussia comes back to life, and, you know, bonkers a pretty good portion of Poland, taking over their coastline. And I don't want to... They basically just fill in these gaps, as Prussia is basically now Germany, as they actually go ahead and defeat the Finnish and Polish empires over here. And now we have Prussia, which is basically just Germany, but I would call it Prussia. And Berlin is going to be here, whether it wants to be there or not. Next, we're going over to Russia, which... Oh my God, stop splitting Russia! Russia is not splitting, it hasn't gained any land! Okay, we're going over to the Central American Empire, which is going to further expand and take over all this land. As you see them actually defeat the Portuguese and take over, you know, part of Portuguese land up here. Next, we see the French Empire medium expand. We're actually going to go ahead and see them colonize as they land in the Lime Country and defeat the Lime Country and take over the majority of its land. Next, we're going over to Crimea, where we're going to see a new nation, and that new nation is going to be where? Now, we see that new nation form up in the north. There's not really anywhere in the north to go. No. We're going to go somewhere else as we go ahead and go over to... We're going over to the west, apparently. I guess I can make a Texas. Go ahead and see the formation of a Texas, which technically these countries are still all of, like... They're not European, so these are all native countries. I wonder if I should like trademark them to see they're all natives. Hold on. With all these countries, I think I'm going to put an N in their brackets to signify what is native and what is not. There we go. I have named all these countries native other than Florida, which I'm going to do now. And now any of these countries that have an N in their bracket are countries that are based off native population. And basically it's all these countries in here other than obviously European powers and Newfoundland, which is the only European power in the region. Next we see Baja medium expand. We see them actually push back up into California, which rebelled from them, as they do significant progress, making California not exist in California anymore. However, they unfortunately won't be able to take it all, which is really annoying. As we go over to Florida, which large expands, we see Florida launches large invasion down here into this country, taking over a significant portion of the Yucatan, hindering the Central American Empire. You see them also land down here, becoming a formidable force. Next we see the Lime Country large expand as they actually beat back the French and actually kick the French completely off the continent, as the Lime Empire actually fights against Newfoundland in this continuing to be a pain in the European sides. Next, we're going west for a new nation. Oh, I don't want to do any more new nations. I'm done making new nations. Okay, we're going over to Baja, which we see split. So I guess I'm probably gonna have to do Mexico. Like, I guess I'm gonna make these people are northern Mexico people, and they want freedom, and we see the formation of northern Mexico, which follows this line here, which is actually a pretty cool part of the Baja state, but apparently they want to be Mexican. As, you know, we see this giant northern Mexican country come to life. And then we're going over to Yemen, which we see medium expand, as we see the Yemen Empire, you know, expand their territories up in Arabia and over here, and their flatlanders, which I thought they were. Next we go over to Russia. Oh my god, Russia has tried to split 6 times. 6 times. But what am I going to split? What am I going to split? Like, it's already small enough. It can't split. But if, like, Finland wanted to split, that makes sense. I could bring, like, Estonia back. Or, you know, whatever this peninsula is called. I could make a country. Or I could release these islands. Okay, we're getting a new nation. If it lands in the west, I know I could put it in Asia, but we'll see. If it wants to go to the west, then we're not getting a new nation. As we're going to continue with it. And we're going over to the Lime Country, which is hopefully not going to break my game. Hello? Okay, well, I'm saving my game because it's not working right now. Save V4. Okay, well, I just escaped and exited back in, and I didn't need to do that, but we go ahead and see the Lime Country continue to dominate as they actually beat back Newfoundland and take over a pretty good portion. You actually see a pretty big Lime Country empire going over to Eastern Greenland, we see them try and do a split, and I say no, and hopefully we'll be out of this age of splitting soon. We actually go ahead and see the Red Empire defeat the Lime Empire in a decisive battle. They take over a lot of their territory, getting a coastline. Next we see Eastern Greenland try and form a new nation, and hopefully this will land on E, or else I'm just not going to add Asia. So this is what we're going to see. Is it going to land on the east, or is it we're going to get west again? No. Oh, we're going over to the east, where we see the Philippines become a country, which I can't spell. Is there an easier country? We're actually going to see Vietnam, because I can't be able to look up the spelling of the Philippines. And we see the creation of Vietnam, which exists like this. However, this is a pretty chunky Vietnam, which, you know, oh my god, it's still going. We actually see the Vietnam take over northern the Philippines, and there we go. Next we're going over to the Red Empire, which wants to split. We're going to go ahead and see the formation of the Orange Country, which is a country that actually split from the Red Empire that exists down here. And there we go. We now have this Orange Country down here. Yeah. Next we're going over to Portugal, that's going to split, as we're actually going to see these Portugal territories rebel. As what is this? We're going to say Colombia becomes a European descended power. As you know, yep. Now we have Colombia, which I don't think is actually in Colombia. Is this no? Is this Venezuela? This might be Venezuela. I think this is Venezuela. Hold on. Oh my god, I can't spell that. So I spell actually that might be right. There we go. We have Venezuela over here. We're going to Crimea, which wants to split, and you know what? I will, just because I can make Moldova out of here. And yep, we now have a Moldova here. Great, that's not going to die in one turn. We see the Kalmar Union medium expand, as we see them finally finish off this land up here, as they push back on all sides against, you know, the oppressors that are trying to get them, as we see them focus to consolidate their power up in the north. Next we see Rome small expand, as we see Rome fight back against the French and take back the Alpine regions. Next we see the Kalmar Empire medium expand, as I don't know where they go. I think I'm just going to try finish off this weird Sapmi country, as you know, we see the Kalmar Union pretty solidify their northern borders up here, as they're probably going to focus, you know, in the Americas next. We're going over to Yemen, which splits, as we're going to see the creation of a Somalia, as Yemen is one of those countries which is pretty nice to split, because in real life there's loads of countries I can, you know, pretend they are. Oh my god, that annoys me. So we're going over to the Central American country, which kicks back the Floridians, and yeah, well, that's basically what they try and do. They fight back the Floridians, however, they still hold over the Yucatan Peninsula. Next we're going over to Crimea, which will be adopting a religion, which actually will become Kievism. That's pretty nice, as we see Kievism spreading over here in Eastern Europe. As we go over to Central America, which will split, as we see Ecuador come to light, as they take over the Galapagos Islands and Ecuador down here. And here we go, that's the Ecuadorian country. And we're going over to Romania, which is founding its own religion, which, you know what, I'm just going to call Romanianism. There we go, and it's going to get a nice yellow country to match the colour. Next we're going over to Prussia, which isn't doing anything for some... Oh no, they're uniting apparently, as we see the weakened Poland state forced to unite with Prussia, as we now have the formation of Prussia-Poland. I know, who would have thought? Prussia and Poland uniting, the most cursed thing ever. But there we go, we have Prussia-Poland over here as a rising power. And we see northern Mexico try and split, but problem is the Americas is too big. It's hard to split. Like, I guess I can split states, but like I don't know the Mexican areas up here. Like, I can do the Central American countries, but like northern, southern, eastern, western, that's about all I got. We see the Orange Country try and small split, as we're going to see the declaration of, what are these states called? This is like, they're like South and North. They're not the Dakotas. South and North. I'm gonna have to pull up Google Maps. How do I not know this? Okay, South and North Carolina, as we see the creation of Carolina, which is just going to be this tiny bit of land here. There you go. We're now Carolina, which is technically South Carolina. So, but actually in this world there's never a North, so it's just Carolina. We see the Red Empire at large expand as we actually see them defeat the Orange country in battle, and oh my god, what's it called? We also see them continue to expand as they go up here and, you know, start carving a pretty big territory for themselves. Next, we're going over to Tunisia, which splits as we actually see Libya decide that they actually want to split and they don't want to unite. As all this Libyan land up here goes ahead and reveals its independence. Next, we're going to Sri Lanka, which splits as we're going to go ahead and see the Sumatra go ahead and join us in this nice world as they take this land and we have a Sumatran country. Next, we're going over to Ecuador, which we see a new nation form. As I'll probably just make nations in Asia now, as I'm probably just going to make it Borneo. As we go ahead and see a Bornean country be born, as it's basically just the whole island of Borneo, and I guess maybe they can also have Java as well, and also whatever this island's called, which I think has a pretty. This island has such a cool shape though, like low-key, probably one of the coolest islands in the world. Let me look at it in Google Maps. It's just so weird. Like, why has it got this weird looking tail thing? Anyway, pretty cool. We're going over to the Lime country, which is going to medium expand and take back some historical Lime land. Or if they do continue to push up north as they take up more from the European countries. Next, we're going over to Portugal, which will finally suppress the Moroccans, as they also push up here, taking over all of Iberia. And we actually see the declaration of the Portuguese Empire, which I cannot spell, but we're going to go with that. However, they've got a lot of work to do to rebuild their power in North America, as they've been completely kicked out of anywhere but up here. And also, are these road pixels of another country. Next, we're going over to Kiev, which is going to large expand, as they mainly expand up here, as they're starting to form a pretty big blob for themselves. I don't know. What do I do? I'm just gonna blob in Kiev, as we now have a pretty big Kiev over here. We see the Lime country large expand, as we see them continue to push up against Newfoundland, trying to completely kick the Europeans off the continent, as they basically almost do. The Europeans are almost completely kicked out. I don't think there's a single European foothold other than the Kalmar Empire and Newfoundland, which is pretty interesting to see. And we're going over to Borneo, which I say small expand. They're basically, again, the Bornean Empire, which I probably should give these countries capitals. I don't know. I could make Borneo's capital the capital of Malaysia. Malaysia's a pretty interesting. Malaysia's one of those countries where it's like they have a land on this island and a land on this island, which is pretty interesting to see. But I don't know. Should I search up capital of Borneo? Capital of Borneo. Capital of Borneo does not have a single capital city. Okay. But okay, let me pick a city which I like. What city's got a cool name? We're gonna have the capital of the Bornean Empire, or soon to be Bornean Empire, called Pontianak. You know what? Fire name, to be honest. Should I build more cities? We're actually gonna see also down here. I gotta add Jakarta. Like, this island has like 300 million people in real life. We see Eastern Greenland large expand, as we actually see Eastern Greenland take over Eastern Greenland, as this is basically like trying to be a new government. It's like the Greenland Civil War. However, we only get updated like every 50 turns. We actually see a small split, as we actually see the return of Poland, which declares its independence from Prussia. And yeah, there we go. We just have Poland, which needs to be capitalized. Next, we're going over to Eastern Greenland, which is splitting, although it's not, because it can't. And then we're going over to Yemen, which actually invades Somalia, forcing it to live here. However, they mainly focus on expanding their land into Arabia, becoming the Yemen Empire, which probably is like Yemenese, maybe, but you know what? The Yemen Empire sounds alright. It doesn't sound wrong. We're actually going over to Yemen, which diverges its origin, although I'm pretty sure it was a unique origin in the first place. And actually, this brings us to the origin map. Well, look, you can see that none of these are actually. Oh, this land over here is technically owned by Europeans, but not really. Like, the Portuguese didn't hold that land for very long, so it's probably still a lot of natives. But then this is technically European controlled land at one point, and it's under it's Portuguese culture, which means it's European if you think about it. But we see here we mainly have. I think what I think is funny is that Kiev. I really hope Kiev forms its own culture, because it kind of annoys me that the origin is from Rome. And also apparently Prussia's origin is from Romania, which is funny. But yeah, Greece is its own standalone culture. This is all Roman, which I guess makes sense. And then over here, this is all from Irish Empire, basically. And we've got Finland, then we've got Russia, then we've also got like Yemen. All of these countries down here are their own cultures. And all these countries are their own cultures. Next, once I wait, we see Sinai. We see a new nation, actually. So we're going to go ahead and see... You know what, we'll see a Japan. We're going to go ahead and see a Japan country birth. I need to stop using orange. No, I think orange just looks fire on the world map. We go ahead and see this Japan country exist, which doesn't actually go on the mainland. However, it does actually up here, as we now have a pretty big Japanese empire, which actually owns Taiwan. And all these islands down here. And there we go. Next, we're going over to the Red Empire, which continues to expand its land, and is just trying to, consolidate its power. I'm actually going over to California, which out of nowhere comes back and takes over basically all of their previous California land. However, they do expand up north a bit, taking over what is Vancouver in real life. Next, we're going over to this part of Greenland, which fights back against Eastern Greenland, and we're basically in a constant civil war until one of them is completely wiped off the map. And Eastern Greenland adopts a religion. And if we look at the religion map once it loads, I mean, it's already got a Muslim religion, so I'm just gonna keep it as that. Oh, I bought that. Oh, I did that too early. This might break it. Will they be able to expand? No, they won't. And as we see, Vietnam can't expand because I'm an idiot. It's actually pretty sad for them. But moving on anyway. We go over to northern Mexico, which fights off against Texas and takes some land from them. Next, we're going over to Florida, which small expand. They continue to expand into Texas and up into the mainland. We're also going over to Japan, which apparently is uniting with the country, but I don't think it would. So they're just going to unite with themselves. Then we're going over to Kiev, which is either small expanding or not. They're not. And okay, wait. Select. Wait a second. Draw a card. And we're seeing a new nation. As we're going to see the creation of a Korea. As we see Korea come to life. And I need to go get a drink because what I'm eating is spicy. And I'm very dehydrated. But nonetheless, we see a pretty big Korea come to life over here in East Asia. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Morocco still exists, which is really annoying. But when I brought on Morocco, it said new nation. So, we're gonna go ahead and see. I'm actually gonna make it Tibet and hope it's a mountain country, as we see Tibet form over here. As you know, I guess they just stick to the vast mountain ranges. We have a Tibet country, I guess, which is cool. There we go. We have Tibet, and they're mountaineers, which is good for them, and expansionists, so that's fun. Then we go over to Somalia, which will medium expand. They'll take over this island and take over back Somaliland, and just, I guess, continue to expand Somalia. And then we're going over to Florida, which we're actually going to see another new nation. I'm going to have to turn down new nations. I guess I'll make Bangladesh, like, running out of space. Not really, but like, I don't really want to make any new countries in the Americas. But yeah, I guess we have a thick Bangladesh, and I actually go over to the game settings and turn nation down to 1, although I don't actually know if that actually does anything. Oh, I'm actually done. I'm actually done. I'm actually done. This is the third time I've had Asia Division every single episode. Like, genuinely. Genuinely, what does it want me to do? Like, I don't want any more countries. Yeah. Well, these last 8 turns, most of them are probably going to get skipped because I don't want these countries to divide. But nonetheless, we're going over to Mexico, which is actually going to expand, and we see them fight off the Brown Empire up here and push into northern and Mexico and Texas. As we go over to Texas, which will unite. There's no one to unite with. Why the one time I get unite, there's nobody to unite with? We see Florida split, as we're actually going to see the return of Hispaniola, which takes Jamaica and Hispaniola and this island here and dips. We're going to Eastern Greenland, which largely expands, maybe trying to end this long-lasting civil war. They actually managed to take the capital, although it will not be enough to completely knock out the other Greenland. As yet, we still got one more expand to go. We're going into Finland, which is having a small split, and it's actually going to release these islands up in the north, which could eventually join the Kalmar Union. As we see the release of Svalbard up here, which might actually be too big. No, we see the release of Svalbard up in the north, just like that. Next we go over to Venezuela, which is medium expand, as we actually see Venezuela fight off the Brown Empire, as this is like a European country technically, although it's not, but like, you get what I mean. And for turn 299, we see Somalia get a new leader called Jehovah. And then for our final turn, we see Russia. Oh my god. Okay, Russia splitting. Ending the 300th term of Russia finally splitting. What am I going to make? Like Novograd, bro. That's like a medieval thing. I don't even know what that is, okay? I'm trying to eat my blooming food without this happening. We see Novograd come up here, even though I have no idea where this... I think Novograd is meant to be up here. But you know what? There we go. Novograd. Be happy. Don't even think this is where Moscow is. Moscow might be up here, but whatever. Don't care anymore. And that is going to be turn 300. Now, if we look at the world, if we were to give power rankings, I'd say there are, like, No, I think in this scenario, I think we're only going to be looking at Europe. Because in my mind, it's kind of like the world where Europe was the most advanced continent. I think maybe Asia was, but I think Europe, I'm assuming Europe was. In this scenario, Europe's the most advanced continent. Europe and the Mediterranean, so like these northern African countries. But I think I'd probably have to give the #1 power probably to Portugal. There's not really any colonial powers, so that doesn't count. But, like, Portugal has all of Morocco, Algeria, all of Iberia, and it used to have a colonial empire, and it's a very strong country. I'd probably go second. Probably Greece. While it has lost a lot of its land, it still has all of Turkey, all of the Balkans, and it's still a pretty formidable power. And I'd probably go to France, a relatively new power. And then next I do Kalmar. These two could be interchangeable just because Kalmar has pretty large span, although historically the lands it has are very unpopulated. But, you know, this could be different in this world. And then, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to round out the top 5, I'd probably have to give it to Sinai. Like, there's not really a major Asian power. Like, maybe Japan or here, but like, and over in the Americas, like maybe the Baja State at its peak, but now it's kind of crushed. The red country and the lime country can maybe be 5th, but I think just for the sakes of European/African dominance, I'm just going to say Sinai is the #5 world power. And that's going to end it for episode 300. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm probably going to record another one of these, and I'm just going to keep going until I get bored, because I want to see what happens next in the story. Goodbye.